Hello and welcome. Well, we've heard that GYEEDA has terminated some of its service contracts, and one would ask, what next? Manasi Azuriawini of Multimedia did his own underground investigation and found out that there were some service providers whose services did not provide value for money to the state. They probed into it, and this caused the government to form a committee to look into these things. However, it has come to light that the government also thinks that we put on the brakes here, and that even some of the providers should refund back to the state. It's not the money they got. Does it mean they got the money through some wrong means? Well, who knows? But that's what's going to come out in the discussions. I have with me Afenyo Makin, who's MP for Efutu. And also joining us later on the show will be Ibrahim Mutala Mohammed. Oh, he's joined me, but when the camera goes, you come and sit down. We join the show, and he's the MP for Nandon. My name is Nana Sakwao, and this is PM Express. Hello, and my guest in studio today is to my immediate left, Ibrahim Mutala Mohammed, Deputy Minister for Information and also MP for Nanton. And then to my far left is Alex Afenyo Makin, MP for Efutu. The issue or the topic today is a GYEEDA terminates service contract. What's next? Clearly, you should be happy. So I'm going straight to Alex, and I say, Alex, the president has ordered that the contract be cancelled. Obviously, monies, further monies are not going to go to them, and indeed, some money should come back to the state. So we applaud the president.
Well, I don't see anything in the statement of substance that would compel me to change my view about how I felt about this whole GYEEDA contract and the way things went about. If you come out with just a statement to say that, look, they should refund, I would want to go further and ask why, on what basis would you say certain refunds should be made? If indeed there were some wrongdoings and certain payments were made, there's a chain of command when it comes to authorization of payments and all that. GYEEDA, then NYEP, had a sector minister, it had a director. When payments are being made, it goes through the finance ministry, the controller, Bank of Ghana, and all that. If you just come out and say somebody who has been paid should make a refund, on what basis? Is government admitting simplicity that indeed those payments were wrongful payments? If they were, what actions are being taken against those individuals who authorized such payments without contract? I heard the minister talking about unsolicited contract. I also heard the Minister of Youth and Sports talking about institutional failures. Now, is it only on the side of government officials or appointees, or there were some wrongdoings on the part of these beneficiary companies? These companies, about 6 of them that were listed, are owned by 2 people. And I'm saying that, for instance, if we look at the ICT training program by RLG, this was a contract that was awarded in 2012, June. And it was to commence in January 2013. 2-year contract, 2013 and 2014. Per Manasi Azuri's documentary, which he tendered some documents, payments were made 2 years in advance before the commencement of the ICT training program. And the fact is there. It's not speculative. These are hard facts. So the question is that if you ask RLG to refund, how much is RLG refunding? If we know in this country that you get awarded, you execute up to a point, you prepare certificate, and it goes through the process and you are paid. And now somebody is awarded a contract before 6 months before commencement, he is prepaid, not mobilization, the full amount. He's prepaid the following year's contract sum as well, and you are quiet on the person who authorized the payment, then I ask, is it a mere political show that, oh, because the opposition has raised such concerns, we need to, you know, splash the media landscape with, we are taking action? We want something of substance. It is not about, we go to Better Ghana Management Services, which is a subsidiary of Zoom Lion. This was a company that all the 10 regional coordinators of NYEP or GYEEDA wrote a petition to the sector minister that, look, you are paying this company because you expect them to prepay the allowances of the beneficiaries. But we think, that is the view of the coordinators, that to them, it was going to cost government more, almost about 107 million Ghana cedi. So they should put a halt to it. They went ahead to effect payment. And they also said they provided some services. Okay. Now, we leave a lot of vacuum. We leave a lot of unanswered questions. That these payments, are they just going to pay if the minister talks about negotiations? Within the context of our laws, it is only in a civil matter that you can talk about ADR, then talk about negotiate. This is of a criminal nature. So if you are saying so, then you are talking about plea bargaining, meaning that before you negotiate on any refund, because look, you've committed a crime, we think there was some misrepresentation or something.
Alex,
there must be a plea.
I wanted some clarification.
Yes.
I want some clarification, just for the general public.
Yes.
They would say that, hold on, the thing used to be NYEP under the MPP government. Yeah. And then they adored it and gave it a different name, but the principles were still the same. So why all of a sudden, oh, hold on, we don't agree with this? But because it's always been there. We've always been paying Zoom Lion, we've been paying all these guys, and then suddenly they change the name and it's like, no, we don't agree anymore. No, NYEP has always been there. You know, you've been paying the service providers, the youth in sanitation has always been there. So, I mean, what's the big hoo-ha now? Is it?
No, I think with all due respect, you are mixing the issues.
Yes, so clarify it for me. And I really hate going back. Only, I just think it's a continuous thing which all of a sudden there's been an objection raised.
Yes. Nana, our questions are based on the numerous models and contracts and payments that were made from June 2012 onwards. And I think that has been the subject of all these investigations. Unfortunately for us, we don't have the report, that ministerial, because bear in mind that it was when the minister appeared before Parliament in 2013 during the budget hearing that the issue of GYEEDA came up. That when we were debating their estimate, one honorable member, the ranking member for youth and sports, raised this issue. And the minister on the floor of the house admitted that yes, there were some wrongdoings. Because we're looking at 2012, activities.
Okay, let me narrow it down to youth in sanitation. I know Nana Okumia signed it and authorized it. And at that time, so why the big objection today?
You see, Nana, let us deal with specifics, okay?
So I'm specifically targeting youth in sanitation.
Very well. We are not objecting to the models and saying that they are wrong. Don't do them. What we are saying is that where there are some contracts awarded and there's no work done and payments are being effected, okay, or some work has been done, the assessment doesn't seem transparent. Okay. And I'm saying that the sector minister himself yesterday on Joy FM admitted that, look, there were institutional failures. Okay. His colleague, the deputy minister, when I had, we debated on this on Joy in the evening, he also admitted that, look, there were certain things wrong. And I'm saying that proud to this, the minister came to Parliament in a response to some concerns during the budget hearing. He did admit, and in fact, it was on the floor of the House, that the sector minister for youth and sports did assure the House that he was going to commission a committee to inquire, that ministerial committee that did this whole job. So this was at his own instance that, look, when he assumed office, he realized that there were certain things wrong. In fact, there were some contract that there were no document, that, you know, there didn't payment. And on this platform, I've given you 2 examples.
Okay, so
you can dig back and say that, look, certain things were done. I have no problem if you want to go back.
No, I didn't want to go back. You see, it's just that I thought it was a continuous process.
Of course, but
I don't want
we are
to
not criticizing the project.
Okay, so
we are not saying NYEP or GYEEDA is wrong. We are saying that from a period, okay, from June 2012, okay, up to December, a lot of contracts were awarded, a lot of models were introduced that the government itself has admitted that there were a lot of things that went wrong.
Let me bring Ibrahim in. So Ibrahim
and that's why I consider the effort by government as just throwing dust into our eyes to confuse us as if something is being done.
So I bring Ibrahim
when
in.
In substance there's
Ibrahim,
nothing
from
being done.
June 2012 is the issue. There were too many contracts. Some were pre-funded, and there were no systems to check whether even the services will be provided, and indeed even the number of people who were supposed to be trained will be trained. So that's the issue here.
Well, let me first say good evening to our cherished viewers. And I have listened to my good friend with profound amusement, and I have been listening to him. I don't think he has the capacity to answer the kind of questions you are asking about the GYEEDA. I do. I do, because I have been a deputy national coordinator on the program for 4 solid years. So I have the capacity to answer that. Yet, he makes statement authoritatively about things he has no idea whatsoever. He made a statement here which is absolutely inaccurate. The contract with RLG did not start in 2012-2013. In fact, the contract with RLG, Zoom Lion and others were entered into by government of Ghana by the Minister of Employment. The NYEP initially was under the Ministry of Employment, which was headed by no less a person than Nana Akomia, who today, in their infamous press conference, said that the NYEP was meant to loot. And I stated, and I will state it here before I even respond to your questions, that I have an NYEP appointment letter signed by Nana Akomia, sending NYEP beneficiaries to teach in a private school. That is not only illegal, it's criminal. You don't pay a teacher who teaches in a private school by the state. And I sent a text message to Good Morning Ghana on the same issue, and he lied to Ghanaians. He said that we have some models that you can send to private institutions. The CETA, the teaching model, we call it CETA. The CETA model is not one of those models. Again, we have NYEP appointment letter, which was signed by Nana Akomia as late as 16th January 2009. When the MPP was no longer in office.
See, because
I'm coming. I'm addressing. Let me make, January 2009. And let me make this, yes. Let me make, please, you hold on. I'm saying that I want him to, you see, I want them today, and they'll be exposed more. You know one interesting thing? As I talk to you, the Ministry of Employment is in court over computers the ministries under Nana Akomia ordered to be supplied. The computers were not supplied and payments were effected. And the computers were never supplied. The Ministry of Employment, as I sit with you, is in court to retrieve the monies. Yet this same person sat in the press conference and said that the NYEP was meant to loot. Let me tell you the genesis of the challenges that we have. The NYEP, and I have stated this time and again, and I can understand, I don't fault the MPP administration because of the exigencies of it at that time. It was occasioned as a result of a national security conducting a research on youth unemployment in Ghana. And the results were so shocking that something urgent needed to be done. And failure to do so, maybe we would have had our own spring, our maybe West African spring. So I can understand why the way the program was introduced. There wasn't any legal regime that regulates how models were going to be created and how they were going to be implemented. Nothing like that. It was just a cabinet fiat that we can go ahead. And that's why I say I don't want to fault them because of the circumstances, peculiar nature of the research, the results, and looking at the circumstances at that time, they needed to do something. Now, if you look at all the contracts that government entered into with RLG, with Zoom Lion and others, those contracts were entered into based on the criteria they had at that time, which indeed, when NDC came, NDC followed. And I'll give you the reasons why the name even moved from NYEP to GYEEDA. It was part of the restructuring, trying to get a legal regime. In fact, the Ministry of Justice and Attorney General and Parliament documents were submitted to get a legal regime to regulate how the models were created and how the programs were implemented. He is talking about models that are created. Yes, new models were created, but all these allegations of corruption, if you look at it, about 90%, over 90% of the alleged looting that they are making references to are occasioned by contracts that were entered into by private entities under them, not the new models that were created. And I think that it's significant we state it. It's significant that we say this. If he doesn't know, he doesn't know, and he shouldn't pretend to know. I am making this statement, he should. Azure, your station, your journalist, he should tell us item by item. The alleged corruption that they are talking about is attributed to 2 or 3 models, and those models, those individuals who entered into the contract, the RLG, I'm coming, the RLG, the Zoom Lions and others were all entered into by the MPP administration under Nana Akomeya. What we did as a government was that these are social intervention programs. We came and then we continued. On the issue of we continued, and no, if there are problems, government didn't say that, no, I will not prosecute alleged corruption in my government because if I do so, I risk collapsing my government, as President Kufuor publicly stated. His Excellency President Mahama said, go ahead and investigate. Investigations are conducted, reports are submitted, recommendations are made. He said, go ahead and implement the recommendations of the investigative committee to the fullest. Now he is talking about retrieval of money. Maybe he doesn't know. It is not only limited to retrieval of money. The Ministry of Justice and Iyoko has actually invited all these people to appear before them. And the Ministry of Justice publicly issued a statement that they are gathering documents, and as I talked to you, they have gathered document. They would arrange people before a competent court of jurisdiction. So it is not only retrieval of money. They will retrieve money, one, and if people engage in illegality, they will be prosecuted by the laws of this country. It is only in this country, and under the MPP as a political party, that the president should just pick people and dump them in Sawam. We have 3 arms of government. He is a lawyer. I am not. And each of the arms of government will jealously protect their territory. What government did, and point of correction, the Minister of Sports never said that there were some corrupt practices. They raised concern and he said, yes, my attention has been drawn to some of these issues you are raising, and therefore we would investigate. How can you establish that someone engaged in an illegality when you haven't investigated, when it is not proven by a competent court of jurisdiction? So there was no way the minister could make such a statement that, yes, there was some stealing, illegal things in it, until it is established. What government is doing is that all those allegations have been investigated. The necessary steps have been taken. The moment it is in the hands of the judiciary, it is not the control of the executive arm of government. It is that the judiciary, the courts of this nation, who will determine whether those people are indeed did something wrong or not. But the Attorney General's advice to government, and for which reason government would want to go to court, is that the Attorney General believed that those people who are cited were actually engaged in certain things illegal. That is the view of government, because that is the view of the Minister of Justice and Attorney General. But to determine whether they were indeed engaged in something illegal can only be determined by the competent court of jurisdiction.
Let me bring it to you. Yes.
You see, just a quick reaction, and then I'll go further to make some more reasonable submissions. First of all, if you tell me that Iyoko is investigated, if you tell me the Attorney General is looking into the matter.
I never said I'm looking into the matter. If you are quoting me, quote me very well.
If you say,
can I correct him before you move? I never said they are looking into it.
I said this new year you have changed your ways.
No, it's good.
No, I thought this new year you've changed your ways. Okay, it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. You hold it. If you say, let me limit it to Iyoko. You know, I kept quiet for it. If you say Iyoko is investigated,
I never said they're investigating. That is the correction I want to put.
Let him rephrase.
Okay,
the Attorney General and the
you said Iyoko, what are they doing?
Hold on. I said that Iyoko has indicated publicly that they have invited these individuals. And
So,
hold on.
If they've invited,
can I?
it's not part
Oh,
of
you
the
don't want me to
investigation.
explain again.
You know, I don't want
and
you to
I
explain.
said that the Attorney
Look,
General
I know
said,
why he's
the
here.
Attorney General said that they were getting docket, and as I sit now,
Sure.
they have gathered dockets.
Very
Enough
well.
evidence
It's all right. I've
to go
gotten
to
a
court.
You've
And I
clarified.
said, within the shortest possible
It's all
time,
right,
we'll go to court.
Mutala.
So
it's all right.
different.
You've clarified. You've clarified.
So they've been invited.
So
You've
that
been invited.
invitation under Section 19 of Act 804 amount to an investigation. It opens the door for them to investigate. So, isn't it prejudicial? Aren't you compromising the outcome of your investigation? If you say Iyoko is looking into the matter, dockets are being built, then you say that you've issued a directive for certain refunds to be made. Because you see, if you claim in one breath, you are investigating, you've not come to a conclusion. In another breath, you say that, oh, there should be refunds. You have cancelled contract. You are confusing us. And that's why I'm saying that it is just a matter of pure political propaganda to confuse Ghanaians. Nothing stops this government from investigating and dating it back to 2007, 2002, 2005, whatever. They have the system, they have the machinery to do that investigation. We went to Parliament, and I don't want to allow my brother, he can say, oh, I don't know, and it's part of it. He's here as a government.
Never said
he
that.
is here as a government spokesperson. I expect him to defend government to the core, irrespective of the issues that go
Why is
on.
it
I
deputy
don't do
coordinator?
that.
Sure.
Politics.
So I am saying that in Parliament, the minister on the floor admitted that there were some wrongdoing. Just yesterday, the minister, and I quote his words, he said, institutional failures. Now, if you yourself, you've admitted that there were institutional failures and that you were going to institute an investigation, a committee has come out with a report. And I'm saying that most of the rots took place after June 2012. I've given you two examples. One example being the RAG ICT training. You awarded a contract 2012 June to take effect, commence in January 2013 to December 2014. You prepaid 25 million. It is there. It's not speculative. It's not from Alex Market. If you know that, look, Nana Kumia during his time, Nana Kumia awarded some contracts, certain payments were made, and no work was done. Nothing stops you. The report is there. Why didn't the committee get into this? Why hasn't Nana Kumia been invited by Yoko?
The case is in
No,
court.
no, okay.
You don't know, it's in court.
Oh, please. Mutala, I thought you've changed.
It's in
Stop
court.
it. No, I thought you've changed. Stop it. You, my friend. So, you see, don't heckle. You see, it's not just about the sweet talk. We want something of substance. If you mean that something went wrong and you want to implement, you want to really prove to Ghanaians that this is a corruption-free government, this is a government that is so much committed to the welfare of the Ghanaian. This is a government that is so determined to assure Ghanaians that, look, the money that we take from you, we'll put it to good use. Then do something of substance. But this mere political rhetorics, issuing statement, oh, refund, we've cancelled contracts, we've done this, as if you're doing something. I'm telling you, it's getting to nothing. Because you talk about the guinea fowl. They will just confuse you. The guinea fowl, we have two folds. The one under GYEEDA and the one under SADA. But there will be the Sumbrugu guinea fowl project. What's the one under GYEEDA?
Which guinea fowl project? You mentioned a name I haven't heard. I would really. You said where? Which guinea fowl?
At Sumbrugu. that is where the project. That is where the project under GYEEDA. Suddenly it metamorphoses into a SADA project.
I see.
Okay? And you make huge payments. The concerns of minority has been that, look, you take a loan at a compound interest. Then you give it out there. You say, look, you've gone into PPP. The next time when questions are asked, bring the document. What evaluation went on? You know, how much did the other party contribute and all that? Nothing happens. Then the next moment when you are being called to answer. You say, oh, even in MPP regime, then they usually start the political points calling. That is not where we get into. And it will not end us anywhere. You are in government.
Which is not accurate.
No, wait,
I'll let you.
Mutala, stop.
I'll let you correct it, whatever you think is inaccurate.
You see,
but I
if
think my viewers would want to know, right, that if you are a boss of GYEEDA or NYEP,
those individuals who were there,
you might not be a lawyer, but I mean, if you look at the contract and the face value, I mean, as part of your pay or being in that office, should you be able to tell that, look, this is value for money, or no, this is not value for money? Because, I mean, I don't have any law or political background, but I read some of the papers and I know that the contract.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen some of the contract, thanks to Manasi. Okay. And I know that if this was my money, I would never sign to this contract. And I am sure, Ibrahim, you're a smart man. If I gave you this money and came to you to say, listen, I have a good project and this is how it's going to work, you're going to tell me, no, this is not value for
money. But he's struggling to defend and he's so confident about...
You see, that is why...
So, while you're doing your corrections, I want you to tell me...
I want to respond to this one first and foremost.
Respond to this one, yeah.
That is why when we want to talk about... That's why I started by talking about the genesis.
Oh, no.
Please.
Oh, no.
Oh, please.
Mutala, another, it's still...
Can I talk?
No, you have every opportunity.
Anyway, just you need to pay me.
You are in government.
He said he thought. He said he thought.
He's in government. Yes. They've been in government for 5 years.
He said,
entering the city. Oh. You can't sit here and say, oh, the genesis and so. He's confusing us.
Okay, Alex.
Will you stop him?
I've stopped him now. Now the
I'm saying this. You are talking about a program that was designed by Nana Akumi and the NPP.
Oh.
You are talking about the criteria through which contracts could be entered into by government and private individuals. And I'm saying that those were the contracts that the NPP implemented for 3 to 4 years when they left office. That when the NDC came, we felt that there was the need for something to be done, the entire structure of the program. We couldn't have said that a social intervention program, and considering the circumstances under which it was created, you couldn't have said that stop it until we finish with all the restructuring and do it. What we did was to continue with what Nana Akumi and Co created. However, we came out changing even the name to GYEEDA. Was not just please. Can I finish?
The question is,
you are not doing. Please, you are not doing a lot of good.
No, because you said this before.
Listen, you are not doing a lot of good to your.
Just to buy time, and then you answer the question. You see, because you've laid the foundation. We've heard you.
I'll let you.
No, I disagree with my brother. But
one thing about them,
he's trying to use that one to buy time. You answer. If you looked at the contract,
that would not.
Would you say it amounted to value for money?
I will still make the points I want to make. When they are exposed, that's what they do. You people, I'm saying that when you look at the way the contract was, what they designed, and these things were being implemented, then when we came, you should ask yourself, what did we do to correct what they created? The reckless nature with which the program was implemented. No, and that, I'm coming. I'm addressing that question. Okay. And that is the point I'm making. That we realized that even the criteria through which contracts were entered into was something that you could not describe as contract. 1. 2, there wasn't any legal regime. You implement a program like that in which you push taxpayers' money into. There was no any legal structure, nothing. And that is why we worked on the legal regime, and for which reason even the name, it moved from the National Youth Employment Program to Ghana Youth Employment Entrepreneurial Development Agency. And for which reason even Cabinet had Minister of Justice and Attorney General finished with the document after Cabinet even looked at it, and it was to be laid before Parliament. In fact, Parliamentary Select Committee on Youth and Employment had documents of what was done to restructure it.
Ibrahim,
I'm coming. That was what we did. But you see, all these criteria, if that is the standard that is laid as to how people can enter into contract with the program, you came and you feel that, look, considering the exigencies, considering the nature of the program, you can't stop it. Take steps to change the way things are done. And the change is not an event. It's something that is a process. All these processes were followed. All these things were done. But the bottom line is that when there are allegations that are made, those allegations have been leveled against management of the program.
I need to add something so that you continue.
Okay.
You see, now, assuming we agree, the contract that was left by the NPP was rubbish.
Absolutely.
Good. But then when you came, the MPP was paying youth in sanitation, I think 250 per head. And then you, under the same contract, moved it to 500 per head.
No. If they were paying 250 per head, how much were they taking? They were taking about more than that. You see?
No.
Hold
So
on.
the Zoom Lion then at the time, I think, was taking...
I'm coming.
150 and giving 100
No, they were not taking 150. They were taking 250
and giving
70.
Okay.
So they were giving 50 until it even increased to 70. Now, when we came, then they increased it to 600. And virtually, these people were taking about 200. And these people were, the Zoom Lion was, even if you want to calculate,
I
don't want to reduce it to percentage terms.
No.
He knows my position about all this GYEEDA thing. Are you getting the point? And my position, I guess, when Azure, as part of the documents he read, they would have read my position as a member of management with regards to the program. And my position on some of those things. And as a member of the finance committee, he knows my position. But the point I'm making, and that's why I don't want to reduce it as to who did in terms of what we all consider to be wrong.
If we are working with the wrong contract, and you inherited the wrong contract,
and
you wanted
to change
it, I thought you would have finished changing it before
you see
the money.
That is the same point I was trying to correct. When he said that the contract with the youth in IT under the RLG was entered into between government and RLG in 2012, and that is not accurate.
June.
Oh, hold on. Please, if you do not know, you do not know.
So which month?
Just keep quiet. I would let me give you the lecture. The contract. Hold on.
The
contract. Please.
Manasseh's document is there.
Hold on.
It was June.
Please.
It was signed. I have it.
Will you hold on? Hold on. That wasn't the contract. Government entered into contract with RLG since 2005, 2000.
No, he's talking about the model.
I'm talking about the ICT.
I'm coming.
No. I won't allow. I won't.
I'll
get it for you.
I want us to enjoy the debate.
I'll get it for you.
I'll get it for you.
I will get it for you. Alex, I'll get it for you.
You need to take control of this. You need to take control of this program.
I will.
Alex, listen to me. He is degenerating this program.
I know you're looking for a model.
Very decent-minded people are watching.
Yeah, I'll
what
get
I'm
it for
simply
you.
saying is,
Yes.
no, it's true. People are watching.
But you started the heckling.
Your constituency, they will say the point I'm just making.
You started the heckling.
It's okay. You hold
I
on.
can't cry for him. He's talking about this.
The people of Winneba, you have seen the conduct of your MP.
2 minutes.
The point I'm just making is these were contracts. You see, you had renewal of those contracts and entering into contract. Now you entered into contract with RLG, Zoom Lion and others on this ICT, youth in mobile phone repairing. That's how it was called, youth in ICT and others. That at any point in time, when they say, okay, we are going to train 15,000 young people. We are training 15,000 young people. These are the conditions. This is how much government is given. This is what constitutes cost of training. And this is what constitutes cost of what? Setting up. Once you have finished with that and you are entering into another contract, a renewal of the existing contract, in this time the number may increase. The amount of money that will give would increase automatically because once the number increases. These are the kind of documents you have. But with regards to the real contract itself entered into, which was entered into between government and RLG, was 2005, 2006. That is the point.
RLG brought some models on. Let me take a break here.
I will talk about those models.
I'll take a break here, and then when we come back, we will continue the discussions. And stay tuned. Well, sometimes the conversation behind camera is even hotter than the ones in front of camera, but that one is not meant for you to hear. But there are some Facebook comments that I want to read. That's Ghana for you, and that's Awiga Muhammad Rhymes. And Boga Ali Hassim says, good evening. In my view, it's a good move by the government. We should move on as a nation. And Bonti Benjamin and where's the investigation report government tasked Iyoko to come out with? If not out yet, then what informed government to cancel the said contract? I smell a potential judgment debt in the pipeline. Augustine Agbate says, stopping doesn't put issue to rest. And then Douglas is saying that the venom of a viper does nothing to the back of a tortoise. It can never put corruption to rest. I tell you more solemnly. And Bogali again comes in, says, I just love PM Express. Yeah, tonight I'm just loving it too. And then Buga Ali Hassim comes in again and says GYEEDA has done a good job. He hasn't got anything. Bonti Benjamin in Arabaka says, we only pray that the Muhammad-led government will have the courage to retrieve the huge sums of taxpayers' money doled out to their cronies for no work done and save us the potential gimmick. I won't read this one. I won't read this one. Very good job done by the government. Bad things happening at GYEEDA. Sack them all. This is Papa Sami. Keep it coming in and I'll read it as I go along. It's a good idea. Thanks, Mr. President. That's what Mills Edward Emeritus is saying. Some are agreeing that, yeah, it's good that we cancel it. Others are saying that we need to go further.
And we are going further, actually.
Now, I don't even know who to pass this question to, but if Manasseh hadn't come out with this report,
we need to go further.
How long would we have continued to pay before the state would have noticed that, no, hold on, we are putting money into a black hole here? If this hoo-ha hadn't come out.
Yeah, sure. Okay. And I think that I want to make some correction there.
He's not going to disagree with Texas.
Before Manasseh's
reportage
or investigation, I think the minority had raised this in Parliament. Okay? Way back in March 2013. And we had even gotten the assurances of the minister that he was going to investigate. And I think it was as a result of the issues that we raised that I would say enticed Manasseh to also get deeper into it. Because obviously, if we had not raised those issues during the budget hearing, this would not have. So if, for nothing at all, the minority has been able to draw attention of government to some of these roads, and we are saying that what they've done is not enough. It's just surface scratching. We want something of substance. You see, we move away from the PR gimmick that, oh, doing something and expecting the people to applaud you, or as it were, get people to keep quiet that, oh, after all, you are doing something. But it goes beyond issuing a statement and directing that contract be cancelled or abrogated, directing that certain refunds should be made. If you pay certain amount, and that is why I'm saying that the whole negotiations about how much is to be refunded and all that is being shouted in secrecy.
It's not.
Yes, that is what I'm saying.
Alex, before I bring Murtala in,
yes,
we get to a stage where the youth in the country are seriously unemployed, and obviously because they are youth, with all the exuberance, they could cause an agitation. So somehow we need to get them work. Now, this was under the NPP government. Now, we live in a country that imports virtually everything. So instead of giving an individual money, that take this money and take 50,000 people and let them go and sweep the street or weave baskets or repair mobile phones, could we not have set up a matches factory, a duster factory, a chaliwater factory, something which would have employed them and made profit to the state, i.e. they will sell the end results and tax? I mean, I don't know, ideas-wise, was this the best way? I don't know. Help me out.
See, Nana, what that initiative under NYEP, now GYEEDA, I think is a first step. Trying to get the youth into employment is one step. Encouraging some of these private individuals to come out with models or come out with initiatives. To me, it's not a bad idea.
No, but after 2 years, whatever it is that you were trained in, there wasn't a market for you.
Sure. So that is why we have a maslock. You see, this whole thing is about my worry, and this one is not political.
Sure.
My worry from MPP to NDC is the undue advantage, and I've said this before, the undue advantage that these private companies take when politicians come out with such initiatives. The undue advantage that our own foot soldiers or Ghanaians or party people take when such initiatives come. Because you see, if we try to trace, go back, like President Kufuor initiated, NYEP, Maslock, people taking it at the end of the day, not paying. Today, maybe you may lack the political will to go after them, because if you do that, next time they will make noise. So you are pushed to a tight corner. My point is that if really, and I don't want this to be misconstrued, to being too political, if really the government wants to set an example, want to crack the whip, I would want to encourage government, urge government to go beyond merely urging them to make refunds to where indeed you have identified some wrongdoing. That look, the company took the money, it didn't work. Or indeed, whatever that was presented as was put yesterday, unsolicited models or contracts, they must be punished. It is not just about the political rhetoric. We have to go beyond that, and that is where I have my problem. Because like you're saying, if all these initiatives were meant to put food on the table, get people into employment, then you train them. After training, you need to get some capital, or you need to get some tools of trade, and you are given, or payments are made to a parent company, a big company managing the model to get it to you. And that company does not do that. And that company does not face the consequences of it. Obviously, it would go round, and then at the end of the day, these private companies will get us, the politicians, like he's doing.
Okay, before I come to Ibrahim,
they will be enjoying the wealth.
If the matter doesn't go to court, how then do we determine somebody is innocent or guilt?
Very well. That is why I'm saying that. If today, we are being told that the Yoko is investigated, at the same time, Attorney General is negotiating or is in talks with some of these companies, I'm saying that you have not seen an end to the investigation. Why then do you, based on half-baked information, decide to issue a directive that refund? If Iyoko is investigated, we need to get Iyoko to finish with its investigation.
Let me bring Ibrahim.
You are building a docket.
I bring Ibrahim here to answer. So he's a lawyer. He's saying that.
And that's not a surprise.
He's
doing politics. He has removed his legal gown and he's doing propaganda.
Okay, so Ibrahim, we need two answers. One, we need, if Iyoko is investigating and the president orders a refund, there a contradiction? And also, that 50 million interest-free that was given to RLG for somewhat, you know.
Let me just let me answer. I hope he would listen. Exactly. I hope he will listen.
I won't interrupt you.
He should listen.
He started
not only interrupting, he should listen so that next time he doesn't make the kind of statements he's making. First and foremost. What? Oh.
No.
Okay.
Withdraw that one. This one is very unacceptable.
Okay,
I agree.
He's withdrawn.
With all your propaganda, I tolerated you. Then you say that I should listen.
You know what? It's very clear. What we said was that Iyoko actually invited those who are cited in the investigation that was conducted by government through the Ministry of Youth and Sports.
Ibrahim, let me interject you. But Iyoko is not like a bridal party.
Can I finish?
The committee didn't investigation.
I'm saying that there was an investigation that was done by a committee, submitted their reports, and some recommendations. The recommendations included some alleged criminal acts by certain individuals and also the restructuring of the program. His Excellency the President said he was, in fact, his advisors advised him not on the alleged criminal acts, but the restructuring of the program. That was the purpose for the advisors of His Excellency the President who advised him.
Okay.
Now, Iyoko, upon the investigation and the report that was made public by the investigative team, Iyoko then invited those people to appear before them.
Okay.
They appeared. The police CID also had some work to do because they would have to build a docket. The Minister of Justice, yes, are they not those who build?
The Iyoko under Act A04 has the power
to build a
of
docket.
the police.
Fantastic. and it's good
and
that if
that
he was...
investigation under Section 19
can I finish?
It's for the purpose
so
of investigation.
the IOCO indeed, with the Ministry of Justice and Attorney General, helped to build a docket. We are no longer talking about building a docket. We are talking about they have built a docket. And that His Excellency the President in mid-press encounter did indicate that very soon people would be arraigned before courts. Mind you, what the committee did, after the committee did their work, there were some of them who said they were not invited. They were not asked to appear before the committee to give their side of the story. IOCO did all of these things, and that is why I said that all those who were cited in the investigation of the committee set up by the Minister for Youth and Sports, IOCO invited them. And upon the response that they each gave, the Minister of Justice, analyzing the issue, is with a firm belief that there was some corrupt or illegal acts that indeed took place. And for which reason, government has taken that position. Because if government is not convinced that certain things were done illegally, I don't think the government will be going to court. And that after you have gotten this, he's a lawyer, you need to build a docket. Because the purpose for going to court, he knows, is one, to get verdict in your favor. I don't think the government would just want to go to court and the case is thrown out, because we have instances where cases are thrown out, not on the substance of the cases, but the technicalities. That is one thing government is avoiding. And let's understand, sending people to court and arranging them before a court is not an event, it's a process. If this thing is not commitment in fighting corruption, then what else? Except that they are saying that President Mahama, these people have been cited in the investigation, in the committee's work, for having engaged in some corrupt practices. President Mahama just asks, please IGP, the head of prisons, put them in Sawam. We live in a democracy. And that is why I'm saying that allow the due process of law to be followed. You have people have claimed you are the best lawyers in Ghana. Yet when it comes to implementation of the very things that you are claiming, you know, to be masters of it, you want to disrespect and undermine it. What President Mahama is doing, compare it with what President Kufuor said, that I will not prosecute alleged corruption in my government, because if I do that, I risk collapsing my government. You turn around and you tell me that this man is not committed in fighting corruption. Then what else is commitment? What else can one describe as commitment? That they investigated, reports are submitted, recommendations are made, recommendations are being implemented, people will be arraigned before court, contracts that your government entered into, your party, have been abrogated, and then you tell me that this government is not committed in fighting corruption. There is another point that you raise on this issue of jobs and others. Look, all of us must agree that, look, unemployment is a global phenomenon. And we cannot sit down and say because it's a global phenomenon, if we have our challenges, we must not tackle our challenges. It is our responsibility, all of us, to say how can we create the needed jobs for people, particularly most of people who are young, to be engaged in such, because I think that I have moved from the youth bracket, but he still wants to be in the youth bracket, even though
my director is nudging me in my ear saying my time is up and I wish we had more time to go further, but I just wanted to find out that could we have found another method of creating a job that would have been more sustainable?
There is an important point. It wasn't the minority that exposed GYEEDA. Manasseh Azure, let's face it, the guy did an excellent job. It wasn't the minority in Parliament. In fact, long before even the issue came, we reviewed the budget. Coincidentally, I served in the Finance Committee. Azure's story was
I could sit here the whole evening.
And we need to commend that young man
for tuning in. And once again, tomorrow, and if you watch the repeat tomorrow, then on Thursday at 2 p.m. on Joy FM, tune in to listen to a show I call That's My Opinion. And tomorrow, I'm just trying to find out why we have a culture of building a town, and then we come in later to do the planning and then bulldoze people's houses down. Why do we have that culture? And so all my fellow chiefs, brace yourselves, because tomorrow is not going to be nice for us. Thanks for tuning in, and tomorrow we'll be back to do it all over again.